check out how quickly we have improved the overall state of this lawn. Kidding. There's actually a whole process that goes into creating a beautiful lawn from dirt. The Scotts Provista seeding project that was left on the back burner long since September of 22. Let me show you how we brought that beauty from dirt to turf. So that's right, it's been a while since I've talked about this Scotts Provista seeding project. I haven't really done a good job of updating on it. You see, we started with it back in May of 2022. We did an initial overseeding, and that was awful. I failed miserably, and as a result of that, the Provista didn't come in as quickly or as great as I would have liked. So let's talk about how we course corrected this lawn and brought it from what it was to what it is right now. As you can see, quite a difference in under 9 months starting in September of 22. The first thing we did in early to mid-September is we came in and we octo-past aerated this lawn. Now, ideally, what you would want to do is you would want to rent what is called a power rake, because what you could do here is you could kind of work up the ground a little bit so that when you drop the seed has something to grab onto. At least with cool season grass, that's what you want to do before you bury it in there, so that again it has that seed to soil contact in both sides. Now, we didn't have access to the machine that day, but we did have a stand-on aerator available because I was doing some of that for my business, so I went ahead and rented that and went over the lawn 8 times, pulled cores about 2 to 3 inches deep, and going over it 8 times was just enough to create an even level playing ground for the seed to grow into and grab onto the second we started fertilizing it from the jump. So that's what we did. Then we went ahead and dropped our seed at 4 pounds per thousand. Now, they recommend 2 pounds, but whenever you're doing new seedings like this, it's a good idea to hedge your bets a little bit and go a little bit more. Not going to hurt anything, as I found with the Scotts Provista, not a problem at all. Went ahead and dropped that at 4 pounds per thousand. Everything looked great. Then we went ahead and put down our first application to starter fertilizer, which was an 18-24-12 from Lesco. We put that down at about 4 pounds per thousand, and that gave us just a little over 3/4 pounds of nitrogen and about a pound of phos. And then we came in about 4 weeks later, early October, and what we did is we came in with 2 bags of Lesco 18-24-12. That's right, we literally hammered the blitz out of this thing, guys. We said, you know what? We did a starter application to help it germinate. We got some germination. Now we're going to push the limits even more by doubling the application rate. So instead of 1 bag, we used 2 on 15,000 square feet, which gave us about 1 3/4 pounds of N and 2 pounds of phosphorus. And my friends, that's the most amount of phosphorus it's gotten, and I really don't intend to give it much more after that unless I want to seed anymore. Phosphorus, good for establishment, but once the turf gets a little more established, I typically like to leave it out as much as I can. 4 weeks later, it was looking good, but I wasn't done with it yet for the season. I went ahead and put down a winterizer 32010 from my local landscape supplier. You can get starter fertilizer from anywhere, but I just decided to go with one from my supplier. I put that down at about 4 pounds per thousand, giving me 1.3 pounds of N per 1,000 square feet to wrap up the season, so the lawn had something to go to bed with. Fast forward to mid to late April of this year, things are looking really good since the lawn is woken up. It had a lot to go to bed with, a full tummy that is. So now, at this point, it's looking good. We need to go ahead and feed it a little bit more. So I came in with our 1500 spring lawn fertilizer comboed with Dimension for crabgrass preventer for the season. Now, in conjunction with that, because we had an unseasonably warm spring, temperatures were spiking up into the high 70s, low 80s unseasonably early, I had to go ahead and get some weed control down this early as well, which brought me to my product of choice for the time with the fluctuating temperatures, and that was the T-Zone SE. It was a great ester-based weed control to use at that time because even though the temperatures were getting high, they kept fluctuating high, low, high, low, high, low, pretty much every other day. T-Zone just tore through it like a boss and controlled all those hard-to-control broadleaf weeds that we had popping up in there at that time, which brings me to mid-May. We came in with a 2800 liquid fertilizer from our good friends over at Green County Fertilizer, available to pros. For my DIY friends, if you're looking for something similar, I'll leave a link down in the description below to a product on my website. Works really well for DIY situations, but if you're a pro, 2800 is what I used with RGS at 3 ounces per thousand. That's what I put down in mid-May, and This is what the lawn is looking like here in late June, early July, as we gear up for a glyphosate application that we're going to be talking about in future video here. Okay, here we are on the day of the taping. As you can see, the Provista is coming in really well. Now, we do have a couple of areas here. I'm not worried about these because naturally over time, as you can see, Bluegrass being rhizomatous will fill this in with proper fertilization, mowing, irrigation, all that fun stuff. So far, so good. Now, we still have a couple of weeds left in here. Like I mentioned, glyphosate for those. Stay tuned for that coming up. And it's really looking good. Now, I want to point out something that everybody's going to talk about when they look at this lawn. Everybody's going to be like, Jake, when I look at the lawn, I don't see a lot of green, I see a lot of brown. Let me debunk that right now. So the thing about Provista, while it's a really nice grass, you could feed it 50% less, you can mow it 50% less. The seed heads of this grass type are so atrocious. That's what these are, the seed heads, right? As we get down here and look, you can see these are seed heads. That's a mushroom right there popping up because of the organic matter in the soil. But the thing is, these seed heads are what are causing the brown hazy appearance. So what the homeowner needs to do here when he mows this next is he needs to lower his deck a couple notches so he can chop these out. Because as you can see, when we remove these, that's going to take away a lot of the stalkiness. That's going to take away the stalky look that this grass gives from afar. I know because I just did this at my house. Here's a picture before and after of what my lawn looks like after mowing down a notch lower than normal to take out these seed heads. So yeah, something the homeowner needs to do, but in the meantime, that's what we're contending with. This is a whole nother thing we did. We seeded new Provista here because we had to. We had no choice because of the landscaping that was installed. So this is Provista we seeded last year, Provista we seeded this year. So stay tuned for all the updates on that. But yeah, it's looking really good. Here's the back. Couple clovers, not as many as there were. You'll remember in the spring, I'm putting up video now of how loaded this thing was. So we killed off a vast majority of the weeds, which is good. So progress, A+ for effort. But yeah, we do have a couple of grassy weeds popping up. Look right here, we got some quack grass. It's a big problem grass around here, and really the only way to control it, which is perfect, is glyphosate. And we're set to do that here very soon, as I mentioned before. So yeah, so the two big words of the game, patience and progress. Patience will bring progress, and that's the case with this project here. It's getting way better by the day. Some more crackgrass right there. Quackgrass and some broadleaf weeds. We'll be killing all that. So that's where we stand with the project. This has got to be by far the best. Look at this. This is what the whole thing's going to look like very soon. Oh, just look at that. That looks great, doesn't it? Nice and double dark. It's actually what's cool about this grass. Like I said before, double the darkness, 50% less grow, 50% less feed. Although we are feeding it a crap ton right now to make up for the establishment period. And then once it's fully established, that's when we'll really be able to start testing that 50% less fertilization. But for now, we're just going to keep hammering it. It's looking good. It's looking good. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about this project and weed control techniques that we've been using, click this button here. Something magical is going to happen. You might as well do it. I promise you won't regret it.